Good evening, Gaza Nation. It's your girl, Blessed D Gaza Diva, back at it again with another Vybz Kartel appeal update for days 3 and 4. The onslaught continued on Justice Lennox Campbell as he came under more fire for the handling of the murder trial of dancehall star Vybz Kartel Adidja Palmer and his co-appellants Sean Storm, Andre St. John and Kahira Jones. On the day of the murder, there was no evidence that Andre St. John had a gun or any other weapon that could be conceived as a threat. As a result, a distinction ought to have been made in the summation. What is a summation, you may ask? Let's take a quick look. A summation is the final or closing argument in a court case. A summation may be made by a judge or by the attorneys for the parties to the case. Summation is also called summing up of the evidence. So in Vybz Kartel case, this is what should have happened. The attorneys who presented the case against him and his attorneys who are fighting for him, they would have presented their evidences, they would have presented their legal arguments, and this would all be contained in the summation provided by the judge. All attorneys would then review the evidence that has been presented, and all of this is then used to attempt or persuade the trier of the fact why it should have them prevail in the case. So in essence, they take the summation, present it to the lawyers, everybody reviews it, both sides reviews it, and then it goes into the hands of the juror, right? Now it could be argued, so why are all these gaps and loopholes now coming out? Why did Vybz Kartel lawyers not put down their foot from day one in 2014 and make sure that this was captured? People, Paula Llewellyn, ironclad fist, Paula Llewellyn, not chat from nobody. She not listening to anybody. She don't want to hear about no bribery. She taking the fact that the case was even looked at after 3 p.m. That shouldn't happen. Homegirl said, go ahead. Lennox Campbell asked her if he should halt the case because of bribery. And now it makes me wonder what is going to come out of what has come out of the lips of one of the lawyers to say that he doesn't understand the law, because in all honesty he shouldn't be asking her that. Given the fact that he was presiding over the court, he should be telling her that I don't want my image to be tainted on this, so I will be halting it. And if she doesn't want to honor it, then he takes it further. But that's a whole different topic and a whole nother discussion for a different date. All right, so that's the summation the lawyer is speaking to, that they shouldn't have included that Andre St. John had a gun, because he didn't, neither did he have a weapon. Attorney Robert Fletcher, who represents Kahira Jones, one of the 3 men convicted along with Vybz Kartel for the 2011 murder of you-know-who, argued in Court of Appeal that Justice Campbell, because of his lack of knowledge of understanding the law, made several errors during the trial. People, you have to forgive me. Remember, while I understand you come here for the highest level of articulation possibly, or clarity, I had to laugh just now. Like, the man is literally saying that Justice Lennox Campbell is a dunce. He doesn't understand the law. Let's continue. The veteran attorney pointed out that the judge's acknowledgement that one of the phones was tampered with and his subsequent acceptance of the said phone as an exhibit demonstrated his lack of knowledge regarding the law. How is it that a learned trial judge can put to the jury the fact that the phone was contaminated, tampered and compromised, and then ask them to decide if it was contaminated? Fletcher asked. I cannot find a word to describe that, except maybe redundant. And what special skills do the jurors have that would allow them to make such a decision, he further asked. According to Fletcher, the judge did not show any regard for the new developments in the case of law, and he speaks specifically to the issue of integrity of the exhibits and went beyond mere breaks in the chain of custody of the exhibits. He also pointed out that other questionable exhibits being admitted into evidence by the judge, such as the video of the alleged murder in which he said no one was clearly identified, and 2 discs on which materials from one of the phones that were seized were downloaded, but the phone went missing. The attorney also argued that the judge had erred during the sentencing process when he sentenced the co-appellants without having a social inquiry report, which he said is a fundamental principle that is to be observed. What is a social inquiry report? Let's take a quick look. A social inquiry report helps the court to make their decisions by preparing social inquiry. These reports are usually known as probation reports. The social inquiry report gives information about you to the court. So say, for example, in Kahira Jones's case and Andre St. John's case, right? A report will be prepared about the type of person they are, about their family, their background, their past offenses, etc. Who normally sees this report? The report will be discussed with the person themselves in question, the judge, and the prison if you receive an immediate custodial sentencing, as was the case with Vybz Kartel and his co-accused. This is why it's been raised again as a huge red flag. Boy, oh boy, this judge really sound away still, you know. I don't want it to go on record, you know. Say me, say the judge dunce, you know. But the judge really a look dunce, you know, brethren. You can't sentence somebody unless you know who they are, he said, while noting that a social inquiry report would provide all necessary details about an individual, including his or her character and how he or she is viewed by community members and relatives. Fletcher, Kahira's lawyer, continued. He also argued that the judge in sentencing the appellants did not take into account the mitigating circumstances in the case and only focused on the aggravating issues such as the level of planning of the murder, concealment of the deceased body, and threats that were reportedly issued prior to the death of the now deceased. Meanwhile, Kartel's attorney Valerie Nita Robertson urged the court to quash his conviction and that of his co-appellants as their case was prejudiced by the widespread adverse publicity, primarily from the police. Some of the adverse publicity which came from the police, she said, were press releases from the then Constabulary Communication Network, which linked a report about a firebombing of a witness's home and vandalization of a digital cell site to the high-profile case, as well as a statement made by the then Commissioner of Police. If you remember the firebombing or the Digicel cell site vandalization, let me know in the comment section. I distinctly remember the day of the final verdict when there was an island-wide outage and everybody ran to me. Hey, your artist lock off cell site. Them things them are going with. I just chuckled and said, he is great, but I don't think he is that great. Also taken into the courtroom today was the fact that Vybz Kartel's unsworn statement was not included or focused on in the said summation, where Vybz Kartel said, I did not order the killing of you-know-who, nor was I involved in the killing of you-know-who. People, food for thought. The more I go through this case, the more it thickens. Let's just work with it for now and let's just see the outcome, because this now, and I'm delighted. The only thing I can say now is that I'm delighted I waited 4 years, because this, you can see that it's a jam-packed, ramsacked case put together. It was thought through, and all the little issues, the niggling points are now being called out in front of the judge, and they're not letting up, and that is what I like about it. Now, I heard there was a topic of discussion brought up yesterday about retrial. Retrial where? Gaza Nation. If they want God, I'm trying to stay calm. But if they want upheaval to start, this don't need no retrial. They need to quash this case as the prosecutors, the lawyers are requesting, and it simply needs to get thrown in the bin, like I've been saying from the very verdict that was cast on his sentencing. It needs to be thrown in the ground. It needs to be buried in a pit. It needs to be thrown far over one place, run on one part, run so, never to be heard of again. And in all honesty, they need to just send home Vybz Kartel and the co-accused. Vybz Kartel come home today. I don't want to hear about no money from no government, paying him back for any life. We don't want that. We helped to make Vybz Kartel who he is today because of our love for him, because of our care for him, our adoration of him. This is why they have incarcerated him. It has nothing to do with any you-know-who being missing or whatever. They looked at him and it's like, you are too powerful in society, so we need to clamp you down. So guess what? We can do it again. Whatever he lost 6 years ago, we will restore it tenfold for him through the grace of God. So we don't want anything from the government other than the freedom of Vybz Kartel. Kartel. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments and your thoughts below about the new findings, and let's have a discussion as we usually do below. Do have a good day, peeps. Smash the like button on this video. Do share and subscribe. Look after yourselves.
Free Kartel, Free Kartel. Africa want to see the world boss. I want to talk to the world boss. Free Kartel, Vybz Kartel. Africa want to see the world boss. See, I want to talk to the world boss. Dear Vybz, Mr. Adijapa. This is the ghetto youth crime from Ghana. From August 11 to December, come see the youth outside in a shama. If I believe in you, then the whole world believe in you. If the DJ teacher come, there's no other. This is just the first step, climbing the ladder. Everybody love you, not to mention my mother, my mother. After you, there is no man. Free Kartel. Africa want to see the world boss. I want to talk to the world boss. Free Kartel.